I wish I could get this friend of mine on the air to actually read this on his own. A friend of mine has written a Dr. Seuss poem about potential Republicans jumping ship and abandoning the party if Donald Trump is the presidential nominee. All of those people in media keep saying, oh, this will be bad. You'll see senators lose their seats and people in the House lose their seats, and no one will vote for Donald Trump because, well, gosh, everybody in America is a Beltway liberal like me. No, they're not. No, they're not. People are ticked off. People don't trust you. You work in the media. No kidding. Wow, what a shock. So my friend Jake Smith, who's a longtime radio guy, uh, Jake having worked in some of the largest radio markets in the country, a bit better than I've done, as well as he was a reporter at the Travel Channel. Jake has written a poem this morning, and I'm reading it on Facebook, and it's just wonderful. The problem is if I read it, because I'm looking about 2 feet away at the Facebook screen, and I'm looking through my glasses, which look like Coke bottle bottoms here, and I'd probably stumble and fumble my way through it, but it is wonderful to see. It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. 39 on our way, probably to about 58 before the day is over. We have a caller with us. You're up next on KLIX.
Hi, Bill. Hey, this real quick on Romney. He was on Sean Hannity when he was running this last time, and Sean quizzed him on being a establishment, and he said, "Oh no, I'm a conservative." Well, does it just say that he's lying now?
Yeah, well, Mitt Romney, as governor of Massachusetts, was never a very conservative Republican.
Right. Okay, thanks.
I had friends in 2008 who kept insisting that he was the most conservative candidate. I think partly it had been, you may remember there was a stretch of time when he was a regular fill-in for Paul Harvey. They had several guys who did that. It was Gil Gross, of course, but also Mitt Romney. And for a time, they also had Fred Thompson, the wonderful and late Fred Thompson, who I would have loved to have seen elected president. The fellow passed away, of course, a few months ago from cancer. And then Romney actually did that segment for a while on his own, the old Paul Harvey segment. So there was this view, I guess, that Mitt Romney was a dyed-in-the-wool conservative, as Paul Harvey had been. But as governor of Massachusetts, he was anything but a conservative. I mean, Romney Care is not, and it was the model for Obamacare. It is not and again, same-sex marriage came to Massachusetts while Governor Romney was sitting in that chair. So this is my friend Dr. Seuss writing about the Republicans trying to stop Trump. And he says, by the way, the new character trying to sell Trump is named Mr. Frump. Would you like Trump on a plane? Would you like him with McCain? I do not like that Donald Trump. I do not like Mr. Frump. Would you like him while you're crying? Would you like him with Paul Ryan? I do not like that Donald Trump. I do not like him, Mr. Frump. Would you like him with a mole? Would you like him with Bob Dole? I do not like that Donald Trump. I do not like him, Mr. Frump. Would you like him with Pepe Le Pew? Would you like him reading National Review? I do not like that Donald Trump. I do not like him, Mr. Frump. Would you like him with a tot? Would you like him with Trent Lott? I do not like that Donald Trump. I do not like him, Mr. Frump. And one day, Mr. Frump saw a larger and more inclusive Republican Party, which marched to victory in November. Mr. Frump couldn't believe his eyes after tasting victory, and a reinvigorated America could not help but to say, Trump's programs are already dead on arrival in the Senate, and so it goes in the People's Republic of Washington, D.C. That from my former co-worker Jake Smith this morning, writing and posting that at Facebook. Monica Crowley, great columnist for the Washington Times. She hosts a radio show. It's just a weekend show in New York City. In fact, I was at a dinner once many years ago, and I was talking to her regular fill-in, Michelle Malkin. And Michelle Malkin, whenever Monica would be away, Michelle would fill in on the program. And I said, how come you're not doing a radio show of your own? And Michelle Malkin looked at me and said, hey, writing a twice-weekly column is work enough. But Monica Crowley does both. Monica Crowley, also a former assistant to President Richard Nixon, after, of course, he left the White House. But she helped him compile and edit a lot of his late books before he passed away 22 years ago. She's writing about Donald Trump today, and she said the difference between Trump and other Republicans and why he is attracting so much attention within the party is he's a street fighter. She said, first, Republicans told themselves that Donald Trump, the flashy New York billionaire businessman, who had flirted with running for the presidency in the past, would not run this time either. Then he announced. In midsummer, he made stopping illegal immigration, enforcing the border, and constructing a barrier wall the centerpiece of his campaign, which sent him to the front-runner status and has kept him there. The Republican power brokers then told themselves that given Mr. Trump's outrageous statements and caustic personality, most voters would come to their senses, get serious, and fall in line as they have always done quite reliably. Mr. Trump, they argued, could not win a single primary state. Then actual voting began, and the first-timer, the brash anti-politician, began racking up resounding victories in New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. The ruling elite's current illusion is that Mr. Trump will not be the Republican nominee even after he racked up 7 wins this week. And then she goes on to say this. This is on page 2 of this column. I like this. Like his style or not, Mr. Trump is an in-your-face guy. Voters want that kind of guy, taking it to President Obama's record, Hillary Clinton, or whomever the Democrats nominate, and to the unbridled, destructive leftism that has rendered America virtually unrecognizable, as we were talking about in the last half hour. T-minus 18 minutes now until Mitt Romney has his denunciation of Donald Trump in Salt Lake City, about 3 hours to our south if you're driving. 40 right now. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com, 9:13 this morning. Mike Huckabee also is taking on the establishment and his party, saying they've got to stop this. This is from the WashingtonExaminer.com. Huckabee says, we all made promises. Everybody on that stage all said we would support the Republican nominee. And now if it's going to be Trump, you can't bail on that. The Examiner, though, is critical of Mike Huckabee, pointing out his daughter is now working for Trump. Here's the thing. Did the fact that his daughter is working for Trump influence Mike Huckabee, or was it the fact that Trump is now the front runner that got Mike Huckabee's daughter on board? You see, there are a number of different ways to look at this, but Huckabee, who has been speaking as part of the Reflections on Running series at Georgetown University, said he is outraged by people like Senator Ben Sasse and Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker, both who made clear in recent days they will not support Trump if he wins. And yet Trump was asked to sign a pledge, and he did it, and said that he would not run as an independent if somebody else got that nomination. And now these people are double-crossing him. And again, Trump may not be my first choice, but what's going on here, if you cannot trust these people in this situation, they've broken every promise they've made. They're telling you not to trust Donald Trump, but how can you trust them? You can't. Their colors, their true colors, are very evident here. I also don't like the fact, now Trump maybe brought Mexico into this situation by talking about how he would force Mexico to pay for the wall, which I don't think that will happen. I think the wall would be built under President Trump. I think we'd have to pay for it ourselves. But former Mexican President Vicente Fox, who of course was a soda pop executive here in the United States before he served as president of Mexico, he made an appearance last night with Sean Hannity on the Fox News channel. And he decided it was his turn again. After doing it just a few days ago, he came on Fox and once more denounced Donald Trump.
We were going to talk about Trump.
And we did talk about Trump. You used pretty nasty language towards him.
He's going to take this nation to the desert. He doesn't understand about creating jobs. He only lies and lies and lies and uses whatever is convenient for him without any attention to facts. That's why I say he's an egocentric. He's not only looking for himself and not for the rest. He believes in the white supremacy.
Right, that's ridiculous.
That's Hitler. I mean, it's
that's
absolutely.
Hitler. That is a disgraceful comment, sir, for you to say that's disgraceful. America has a right to protect its children from the drugs that cross. Listen, I understand most people want jobs.
The Republican Party.
I understand that you didn't fix the economy of your country. I understand that most people. Oh no, you didn't. Then why are they all coming to America? But we have the right to protect our children from the drug trade and the crimes that are committed on our border by illegal immigrants, sir. And you ought to respect that.
To stop consumption of drugs in this nation.
That's true, too. I agree with you.
Yeah, too many liberals, Hollywood liberals, running cocaine up their noses, encouraging drug trade. Conservatives, if you've noticed, most of them don't do drugs. Most of your people who are actually doing drugs will be voting for Democrats if they vote at all this year. 9:16, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. I had a lot of respect for Mr. Fox when he was president of Mexico, but here you go again. Same thing with Mitt Romney. Every time he opens his mouth on this issue, Donald Trump gains another 25,000 votes. And if you've got people in England complaining about him, and you've got people in Germany complaining about him, or France, do you think the average American is going to say, well, if the French don't like him, I better not vote for him? That'll be 150,000 more votes for the guy. All of these people are just, again, as a caller said in the last hour, they're just making the guy stronger. And in a sense, helping make a point that he's been trying to make all along, and that is that this country is too beholden to others, and that we've lost our way because of that. We've lost our sovereignty. And maybe he's right on all of those counts. Again, I'm voting next week, Tuesday morning after I get out of here. I'm going to head out, vote at the church down by, Grandview Drive, my polling place. But I'm telling you right now, I may not be voting for Donald Trump, but come general election day, if he's the nominee of the Republican Party and this sort of thing continues, I'll be there very early to cast my vote for the man. You're up next, and you're on the air with Bill Colley on KLIX. Hello?
Bill.
Yes, Bill.
Hey, this is Lloyd, Twin Falls.
Yes, sir.
I listen when I'm when I am in eastern Idaho. I listen to 590, and when I'm in southern Idaho, I listen to you, and you are by far the best commentator that I've ever listened to. So
the guy over there isn't bad. The guy over there isn't bad. He's got his own newspaper column right here in Twin Falls.
What's that?
Well, the guy over there isn't bad. They've given him a newspaper column here in Twin Falls.
I apologize. I couldn't understand what my phone must be getting a little bit weak here.
A lot of people don't understand me.
I do when I'm listening to you. Hey, today there's been a tone of people that are just damn pissed off. Excuse me. Probably shouldn't use that word. They're just tired of the established GOP and the lack of success that they have had the opportunity to portray to the American people. There was a caller yesterday that talked about the American people being naive for voting for Trump. It's not a matter of naivety. It is an absolute, we're just so sick and tired
Amen.
Of the establishment. And I've been waiting for the good old rednecks and the established conservatives in this country to make a rise, and I think Mr. Trump is spearheading that.
Hey, I gotta let you go. We're coming up on a hard break, but thank you much for the telephone call. And as far as the compliments, the check's in the mail. Mitt Romney, his address coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll be talking more about that here on KLIX. Tell me something. If you had to, let's just say, listen to this every day of your life, would you be chasing fat interns?
So please, my friends, join us in this campaign. I need you here in New York. We need a big primary victory because with your help, I know we can win the nomination. I know we can win in November. And I know then we can build an America where we don't leave anyone out.
Yeah, one more time. Yes, a great many of us feel that way about her. Hillary Clinton speaking in New York yesterday. What was it Rush Limbaugh said a couple of weeks ago? This woman's voice, it's a little bit like listening to wounded seagulls fly over Alcatraz. She may be going to jail. That's something the latest news is they've given immunity to the fellow who put up that private email server for her. They've given him immunity, and with that, he can tell them all sorts of little dirty secrets. And the FBI, it is mentioned in my reading list this morning in one of the newspapers I was looking at, the FBI has an interest in speaking with her directly. 9:25, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. You're up next. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning.
Good to speaking to you. I think the reason why the establishment is so against Trump, if he only got 1% done of what he said, he would cut our taxes, he would lower our debt limits, and he'd take all their play money, whether they pay one another back and forth, give them this, give them that, scrap all that, and they're scared to death of losing that way of dealing stuff because he is a deal doer. And within the next term, he would be getting a whole bunch of new legislatures in there. They know that because he'd be revealing the crap they've been pulling for years on their trading and swapping deals and making deals, under the table and in the back door, behind closed doors, pushing stuff through.
Well, I don't think, and I thank you for the input, I don't think that Congress would play very nicely with him. But I think that he's got enough of a big personality and charisma, thank you for the call, that he could definitely bring this to the public instead, the court of public opinion. Ronald Reagan was absolutely brilliant at that when he was president. And he would just shame those folks over on Capitol Hill into following him. And my only drawback with Trump, and I got into an argument with my former fiance about this last night. She's supporting him. Now, we met. She came on my radio show back in 2012 to promote a local Walk for Life, which was the local version of the March for Life. And she has been a huge proponent back on the eastern shore of the Chesapeake Bay for the pro-life movement. And I said, look, he's a little wishy-washy right now on when it comes to Planned Parenthood. And I told her, I said, that makes it difficult for me. So Tuesday next week, I'll admit it, I'm going to vote for Ted Cruz. But if Trump could shore up some of those other positions, I'll take a closer look. You're up next, 927. You're on the air on KLIX.
To me, he has to make some details out of what he's saying. All he's done is insult his opponents, and that's not a policy. I just can't believe we would actually, and talk about deal making. He's been making deals behind closed doors with the Democrats for years and years.
And he admits it. But as far as making fun of his opponents, all of those weak sisters, and I thank you for the call. If they could grow a pair in multiples, they could fire back. And finally, well, he didn't sound good doing it because he looks like he's 12 years old. Rubio sort of misfired. I'm sorry, but Marco's done, and so is John Kasich. And this notion that, we're all going to be polite. Look, the time for being polite about everything is over with. The country is circling the drain. The Chinese are now complaining about Trump. Why are they complaining about him? Because he says he's not going to allow them to manipulate currency any longer. He'll fight back. He'll fight back when it comes to the economics of all of this. And I said yesterday, I cannot sit here and tell you exactly what currency manipulation is. But I do know it's bad for us. And I do know that the Chinese have been using that to get an unfair advantage when it comes to trade. That makes me mad. I'm all for free trade, but it's got to be fair trade as well, as I said on this program the other day. And at the moment, we don't have that. And you got guys in Washington who've allowed this to happen. Why have they allowed it to happen? Because all of the big boys up on Wall Street are making a fortune off of all of these scams, and they're bankrolling people like John Kasich and Marco Rubio. That is the fact that Trump calls them chicken livers, I'll tell you what, it's far less offensive than what they've been doing. They've been raping the American people, and they've been selling their country down the river for their own personal gain. And I'll tell you what, there were times in history when people like that were hanged for their crimes against their own nations. It's called treason. Bill Colley with you on Top Story. It's 41, 9:30. I've got more on the way. Speaking of Hillary going to prison, Ted Cruz is ecstatic about that. If I get a chance, I'll share some of that too coming up on the program in just a few minutes.